I don't believe you should name tigers. What the hell is Teja? Teja sounds like some Sanjay Dutt as a villain in a movie. Salman भी है tiger का नाम है.
This tiger kills a human being once, they realize even in our weak state, this particular two-legged animal cannot put up a fight. Tigers are known to take gore down.
But they put up a fight, you see.
They can inflict some serious injuries as well to tigers. A big crocodile can definitely pull a medium-sized tiger in. Man-eating tiger, Adamkhor Hindi mein बोले. This was coined during the British time in India.
Langurs is what you were saying. Like if their calls can determine if it's a leopard or a tiger.
Yeah. So for leopards, usually the calls are more frantic.
Like how does it sound for a tiger? What is the deadliest tiger battle that's happened in Pench's history?
So there's very few people that know more about the wild than these two gentlemen here do. First here we're joined by Pranad, who's a naturalist who's worked across several forests in India, and as we go along the video he's going to share his journey with us. And we also have my friend Vinay, who's a wildlife enthusiast who frankly knows more about certain forests than even most people working in the forest do. And when you see both of them having a conversation, the passion about seeing animals and about the wild is palpable. And I think that's the infectious energy that's brought us here to Jamtara Wilderness Camp, which is a wildlife reserve and a wildlife resort that's been created for wildlife enthusiasts to come enjoy the wild and hopefully spot animals that they otherwise don't get a chance to see in their day-to-day lives. So, I mean, before I begin any of this, what are you expecting out of this entire conversation?
So thank you, Karan. That was actually a very sweet and a very thoughtful introduction. I think what I'm trying to get out of here is to get people to know more about tigers, leopards, and to spread more awareness. Having said that, sometimes people come to the jungle with the idea of just spotting a tiger, but when you learn about other animals, you'll equally fall in love with them too. So my idea is that I want people to realize and understand that although you're coming to a tiger reserve, but it's not all about tigers. It's about other beings in the ecosystem too. So
I think it's something similar to what Vinay said. My whole journey or career has been about promoting the Indian wildlife, sharing interesting stories from the jungles, and getting people to fall in love with nature, with wild animals. And like Karan said, it's not just tigers. Like Vinay said, it's not just tigers. There's so many other amazing critters in the forest. So through this journey, hopefully we'll get more people interested in the wild.
But also hopefully spot a tiger, right?
Absolutely.
yeah, of course, that's part of the plan.
Okay.
So one thing I like to tell people when I'm taking them to the jungle for the first time is that learn how to communicate with the forest, and that is where you'll understand how it works, and that is where you'll fall more in love with it. What I mean by communicate with the forest is that essentially follow pug marks, follow different signs that the forest is showing you. Here for other animals, when prey animals are in distress, they give out distress calls or alarm calls. You have to follow that, and once you start understanding that, once you have some experience, once you spend enough time in the jungle, you'll also be at a point where you're able to differentiate between whether a deer is giving distress calls for a tiger, a leopard, or same with langurs.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be a journey and a half, and that's what we're gonna do in the next few hours. But Pranad, now if someone had the next 3 hours starting from Jamtara, using the map, can you explain what we are going to do? Because I'm guessing that's what you would recommend anyone else when they're coming here as well, to increase their odds of spotting a tiger. So why don't
Shall
we?
we shift to the map?
Yes.
Pench, as Vinay knows, is divided into two parts. There is Pench Tiger Reserve on Madhya Pradesh side. We have the state boundary in between, and then the forest continues on the Maharashtra side as well. But because the forest department is something that is under the purview of the state government, so these are two separate entities administration wise. For the animals, they don't care, they don't follow the lines that we draw. So we have tigers, leopards, deer, and all the animals that keep on crossing. So for them, it's a continuous stretch of forest which spans over roughly 1500 square kilometers. Roughly 750 square kilometers on the northern side, Madhya Pradesh, 750 square kilometers on the southern side, Maharashtra. The name Pench comes from the river that flows through the forest, Pench River. And just a little south of the border, there's a big dam that is built on the river called Totlado Dam, which creates a big reservoir, which we call Totlado or the Pench Reservoir. During the safari, we will probably get to see some parts of the reservoir. Now, right now, this is summer, so the water levels are at its lowest, but it still holds, the dam still holds a lot of water. Now, we are here, Jamtara Wilderness Camp, that's the northern side of the park. And we will be using Karmajari Gate again on the northern side to enter the park. Unlike some other forests which are really big in area, Pench does not have any zones.
Okay.
Once we enter from here, wherever tourism is allowed, 20% of the park is open for tourists. We will be able to go anywhere and everywhere where the jeeps are allowed to go. Similarly, there's another gate on the southern side, Turia, and we will meet these jeeps during the safari. This is the national park area, that's the core part of the core area. And then the core area is roughly about 400 square kilometers, surrounded by 350 square kilometers of buffer area roughly. So where we are, Jamtara Wilderness Camp, the forest surrounding us is the buffer area. And then we drive through the buffer to get to the core, and the safari will happen in the core area of the park. Now on the safari, we will definitely try and spot the interesting animals, that's a tiger. Pench is also good for leopard spottings. If we are lucky, we might get to see some dholes, the wild dogs.
Oh, wow.
Besides that, we have gaur, which is the largest wild cattle in the world. 2 different types of deer that are really easy to see. Monkeys and more than 300 different types of birds. Some of which are resident, some of which are migratory. But we'll try to see whatever we can during the safari.
Yeah, let's hope, yeah, honestly.
So since it's summer, we have a good chance at sloth bears too.
Sloth bears we do have in Pench. The density is really low,
Yeah.
but you never know.
Yeah.
Early mornings and late evenings
Right.
are really good, and we might spot one.
Yeah. So actually, I just want to make a point that Pench Nadi or Pench Reservoir is also responsible for Nagpur city for its drinking water. So this is one fact that most people don't know and don't realize. And he's from Nagpur, I'm from Nagpur, so this obviously has been a big part of our life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I kept thinking we get it from these lakes around the city, but
No, it
now my
actually-
eyes have opened and I realize, yeah, why? And then you realize they're not even that big,
fact,
so this checks out.
A lot of people staying in India get their water from rivers, from dams like this, which originate in tiger reserves.
Okay.
So these tiger reserves are there for the tigers, for the wildlife, but
also the water's
help
cleaner.
us in getting water every day.
I mean, yeah, otherwise every water body that's near an urban area is anyway so polluted that it's not even safe to drink out of it. So,
All right,
awesome.
so shall we start?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Super. Some langurs up ahead.
So langurs is what you were saying. Like if their calls can determine if it's a leopard or a tiger.
Yeah. So for leopards, usually the calls are more frantic, followed by a cheek sound also, right?
Like how does it sound?
Chick, 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 chick.
Okay. Chick. Ah. And for a tiger?
It's like a bark and a much longer call. If you consider the two species, like say a spotted deer and a langur, langurs being monkeys, they are more, their brains are more evolved,
So they have a more complex way of communicating with each other. So it essentially means they have two separate words. A word which means tiger, a word which means leopard.
Okay.
In their vocabulary.
Interestingly, deer and langur also have a symbiotic relationship. Langur are sitting on top of trees, so they have that aerial vantage point. So they are usually able to spot cats and predators before deer can do. So they give out calls to alert deer. That is one way they help deer. The other way they do is they throw down fruits and flowers that they pluck on top for deer to feed on it. So that's how these two help each other in the jungle.
Also, probably a very. It's not a question that has a generalized answer, but does a tiger prefer a deer over a monkey simply because of the amount of flesh?
And a tiger will also prefer a sambar deer over a spotted deer because it's a bigger animal.
Okay.
These animals are lazy animals. Tigers are lazy cats.
They'd like to hunt as less as possible.
Yes, spend as little energy as needed and try and get a big reward in return rather than something that is small.
So one tiger, how many days can he or she? One big male tiger. Let's assume how many days can he go on a sambar deer, like eat a sambar deer?
4 or 5 days.
Okay. And then has to go on the kill again.
And then after they have eaten every day for 4 or 5 days, for the next 2-3 days, if the tiger doesn't get food, it will not feel hungry. So in between kills, there is a gap sometimes. Sometimes it can stretch to 5-6 days also. And that's when desperation kicks in. Then they will go after smaller animals also because they feel weak at that point, not having eaten for 4 or 5 days.
And so anything goes there.
Yes.
So how long can a tiger be without food?
A week very easily actually.
Okay. And then what are the signs of like frailty after? Suppose it's not eaten beyond a week. Then does it start losing weight? Does it start losing muscle? Does it start... because after a week it's becoming even more incapacitated to kill, right? So...
When we see a tiger, we see the belly.
Yeah.
If the tiger is eaten, the belly is quite full and rounded and we can make out the tiger as full. And if it's not eaten for a few days, you can see the belly sort of shrinks quite a bit. You can look at it and feel, this tiger is not eaten for the last few days.
Are we first at gate?
No, the gate's already open, so lot of time.
टाइगर एक ही जगह दिखा है बाकी नाला करके, बाकी वापसी वाली गाड़ियों को पता नहीं और भी हो सकता है उधर जो वापसी हुई है स्पॉटेड डियर।
नहीं, उसको ऐसे ही रख दोगे ना, ऊपर
बाकी
रख
इसका
थोड़ा।
टोटल जो एरिया है 1179 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर पे है, जिसमें अपन लोगों को 20% एरिया अलाउ है। 20% एरिया में 292 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर।
आप इधर से कहीं हो बनवारी जी?
जी सर,
आप इधर से कहीं इधर से आते हो?
कर्माजीरी से 4 किलोमीटर आगे टिकाड़ी गांव है,
हाँ।
वहाँ का हूँ सर।
अच्छा, ओके। आई थिंक अपन ने क्रॉस किया था ना वो?
हाँ।
ओके। तो आपके दरवाजे पे कभी आए हैं?
जी,
आपके दरवाजे पे कभी आए क्या ये लोग?
आप उधर तो चले जाते हैं, जो पहाड़ियाँ हैं, खेत है, उस साइड में एनिमल्स चले जाते हैं, डियर वगैरह। कई बार टाइगर आइगर पहुँच जाते हैं खेतों में। लेपर्ड तो पहुँच जाते थे पहले। लेपर्ड यानी कि ये बकरी वगैरह और हाँ कुत्तों को उठाने के लिए चले जाते थे, लेकिन अभी कम हो गया है। अभी बहुत कम बाई चांस ही जाते हैं। बाकी यहाँ सभी एनिमल्स हैं, बर्ड्स हैं, बर्ड चिंटी बहुत कर सकते हैं, बर्ड भी बहुत।
How do you know the difference between a man-eating tiger and a non? I mean, of course, it's not a
So you can't
binary
tell-
matter of preference, but
So you can't tell that difference by just looking at a tiger. One very important thing when a tiger kills a human being is that they did eat it, right? And or was it just an attack in self-protection?
have a slightly different opinion about this. I think this term man-eating tiger, Adamkhor Hindi mein bole, this was coined during the British time in India. They had a lot of interest in hunting, and the level at which they would hunt was so great that it would seem cruel had they not justified it with something. So they coined the name saying, oh, this is a man-eating tiger, we'll come and we'll kill. And villagers would then call British officers who they knew were hunters and plead them, please get rid of this tiger. Tigers had been there even before
टाइगर
some tiger scat, little old, but you'll notice there's a lot of fur. You'll notice there's a lot of fur in it, and that's mainly because the digestive juices of the tiger, they dissolve almost everything, even small bones, to a little, somewhat, but fur they cannot digest. So fur just comes out along with their excreta. So you can actually pick up some fur, do DNA testing, and actually identify which animals the tiger is eating. And in the past, this has been done in many forests to study what is the prey for the tigers in this particular forest.
So you were saying something about man-eating tigers.
So this when, and then tigers get into a habit of killing humans more frequently for a couple of reasons. One is that there's no natural prey around. Places like Sundarbans, for example, it's really tough for a tiger to hunt because it's all marshy area. So they make do with whatever
One
they
second,
get.
a jungle fowl is very close.
That is a red jungle fowl, male. This is the ancestor of our domesticated chicken. Very colorful.
I'm assuming the version of the chicken we have is all through interbreeding with different types of.
The history of the domesticated chicken is humans as a species we know evolved in what is today Africa.
Yeah.
Then they started migrating through Middle East, Asia. They reached the Indian subcontinent, where we have different species of jungle fowls. In northern India, we have the red jungle fowl, which we just saw, and this is definitely the first species of jungle fowl that humans came across. And they caught some, they kept them as pets because they were giving eggs, it's meat. So you carry a few as pets along with you in cages, and you have a guaranteed source of nutrition, guaranteed source of food along with you. Then they've traveled to South India, where we have the grey jungle fowl, and some of these probably hybridized with the grey jungle fowl. Then humans crossed the Pak Strait and reached Sri Lanka, where we have the Sri Lankan jungle fowl, and in Southeast Asia we have the green jungle fowl. And when in 2014 some scientists studied the genome of the domesticated chicken, they realized that what the domestic chicken is just a hybrid of all these four jungle fowl species that we have.
Over thousands of years of intermating.
Malabar white hornbill है
Oh, wow.
Beautiful border.
Okay.
One flew away, one is still there.
You see that, Karan?
Yeah, I can see it.
The third one, so really big black and white bird.
What is it called? Malabar fowl.
Malabar pied hornbill.
Pied hornbills, or generally even grey hornbills, they usually move in pairs, right?
Yes.
And when the female is pregnant, she finds a hollow in a tree where she goes in. She loses her feather, and using her feathers, she creates like
Yes.
a
So
door
what
to
they
that
do is-
hollow, right? To
This
protect.
is a very
the-
interesting nesting behavior, very odd as well. When the female goes in the nest, she will shed a lot of her flight feathers, so that creates like a soft bed. She will lay eggs on there, and in the meanwhile, the male will bring a lot of mud and seal the entrance to the hollow, leaving a small slit behind. If you notice, they have really long beaks. So when the female is inside incubating the eggs or taking care of the young ones, the male will bring food for the female, for the young ones, and pass it through the slit. And the female is completely helpless because she cannot fly at this time. Once the chicks are a little old enough and the female regrows her flight feathers, she will break open the seal that is made with mud and then for a little while both the male and the female will take care of the young one. Eventually the young one is big enough to find its own food and will
Leave the
leave the nest, leave the parents. But during that phase, when she is not able to fly, there are eggs or the babies are really small, she is really vulnerable. And if something happens to the male at that time, if somebody hunts a male, let's say, it almost certainly means death for the female and the chicks as well, because they cannot procure food for themselves.
And usually, who are the predators who are after these birds?
Big birds, very few predators naturally, but in parts of India, especially northeast India, these birds were hunted because there's a different species of hornbill that we get there. But the hunters in Nagaland, they used to use the casque as a helmet, sort of a symbolic dressing rather than protective. But again, the same thing. The male would be hunted because they have the beautiful long casque. Females have a smaller casque.
Is it used to make something?
No, just it was a headdress, headgear, but like I said, it was symbolic rather than actually having any purpose.
Okay.
But a lot of communities in Nagaland have stopped this now. The government and some NGOs have worked with them, and they now make these casques or somewhat of a similar thing to a casque with wood rather than killing the actual bird.
Oh, nice.
Shall we proceed?
Yep. So what are, you were telling us about the three main reasons.
Tigers get into a habit of killing people when they are really old and really weak, and they cannot go after a deer, run after a deer or bring a deer down. And they understand they are smart animals. They think a lot, and if this tiger kills a human being once, they realize even in our weak state, this particular two-legged animal cannot put up a fight.
Yeah.
And that's when a tiger does become a man-eater, because it learns that this particular animal is really weak, very easy for me to
We aren't
kill.
even fast enough compared to them.
Absolutely, and we don't have any natural defenses. We most certainly would need some sort of a weapon in hand to even stand a chance of it. But if you're ambushed by a tiger, you're not prepared to fight. That's one such.
What is usually there in your toolkit to ensure that I'm assuming they must be giving everyone a toolkit like a tranquilizer or something. So if it happens, it happens then.
Well, while on a safari, we make sure that we are not getting too close to a tiger.
Yeah.
We respect the tiger's boundaries and stay sort of some distance away from him or her. And of course, like in a core area, walking is not allowed. We are not allowed to get down from vehicles except at designated spots.
But if a tiger wants to kill, I'm assuming the vehicle may not be a barrier for it, right?
As long as we are in the vehicle, the tiger doesn't see us as a separate
Okay.
entity. They think that they see the outline and they think this is one big animal, which of course smells of petrol or diesel rather than.
So when he is foul
any
smelling,
animal.
yeah.
So that they don't associate that smell with food. But I've seen in places where occasionally a forest guard or someone gets out for some work and there's a tiger looking at a jeep. The moment this outline breaks, their expressions change. Then they realize, oh, this is an animal that is either danger for me or I can bring down very easily, depending on what is going through the tiger's mind.
100 तक की चेक कर लेते हैं
हाँ. There's a water hole up ahead, so we are just going to check up till that spot, because it's summertime, animals feel thirsty and water is now available only at few places in the park.
बनवारी ये पानी के जगह का नाम क्या है जो अपन अभी जा रहे हैं?
ये इसका मन्नू तालाब सर बोलते हैं। मन्नू तालाब भी है इस साइड पे, लेकिन तालाब में पानी नहीं रहता है। तो ये सौसर में डालते हैं। बोरविल है यहाँ पे, सोलर से चलता है।
अच्छा।
इसको मन्नू तालाब सौसर बोलते हैं।
तो इसको से डिजाइन किया गया है कि टाइगर नेचुरली थोड़ा आ जाए पानी पीने के
टाइगर
लिए।
आता है यहाँ पे, एक फ्लाइंग बर्ड करके, उसको झंडी मट्टा फीमेल भी बोलते हैं, फ्लाइंग बर्ड भी बोलते हैं।
Isn't that the one we spotted?
Yeah.
और लेपर्ड भी आते हैं। वाइल्ड डॉग बहुत आते हैं लेकिन इसमें।
So what I was saying about man eaters, was I wrong?
नहीं,
When I said that
I don't think any tiger is man-eater. As a healthy tiger will always like to go after a deer or a big
Right.
animal, a nilgai.
I'm just saying that circumstances make them, but once they make them, they do become. If
Then
they're if feeding on human
Sometimes
meat,
a healthy
then-
tiger will kill a human being because it is afraid. It feels that this
Yeah.
is the only way I can protect myself. When that happens, they of course then after that they can smell blood, flesh. They will try to eat, but usually their jaws are so big that they cannot tear out big chunks of flesh. So most of them realize that this is worthless. I mean, just for a few bites, few morsels of flesh, why kill? I mean, put in energy to kill this animal.
So if you're thinner, there's a lesser chance the tiger eats you also. Chubby nahi hai.
Obviously, I mean, I'm assuming in a big space like this, petrol and diesel emission not so much, but forest burning or any event that causes a lot of smoke, does it cause any of these predators large respiratory issues, or and there's no evidence of that yet?
No study has been done, I think. It will definitely cause some issues for a timing, but naturally, because the smell is something that animals are not used to, we have seen animals move away from fires, move away from smoke. Maybe it's just a natural, I mean, fire itself is something that might kill you. It's a natural instinct that animals tend to move away.
And are there any limited zones in the, I mean, obviously, of course, not in the main jungle, but in the buffer zone? Are there any zones that are allowed for deforestation and wood cutting, or even that's not allowed?
No, the forest department does it in a sustainable way. Wherever they will cut trees for wood, especially, they will replant a lot of new trees, so that in a few years' time, again the forest would grow. But again, that is allowed only in the buffer area, not in the core area anywhere.
What is say of course, the tiger doesn't understand buffer core or any of that, but from say from a policy point of view and from a forest point of view, why is there a buffer and a
Buffer is essentially that place which can be shared by humans and animals both. Core area is essentially only for animals. But having said that, animals don't understand that demarcation of a buffer and a core. So a lot of people say that, oh, only go for safaris to core to see a tiger. I don't believe that. In fact, Tadoba, there's a higher chance of seeing tigers in the buffer. And one good part about buffer zone is that it's open all year round. Core parts of the jungle are usually closed during monsoons.
Some of these trees that are leafless right now, these are teak trees, and teak is the most dominant tree in Pench forest. In most of the parts, almost 70% of the big tree vegetation is just teak, and teak is a deciduous tree, just like what Vinay said right now. During the summer months, the hottest time of the year, the trees actually shed.
आने देते हैं उसको स्पेस मेल है क्या
Wow.
Might cross the road in front of us. Let's see.
Karan, if I'm on foot, I won't be scared of tigers, as scared of tigers as much as I would be of these giants.
Oh really?
Yeah. I mean, they don't do anything, no animal does anything, but these by nature are.
While we are waiting here, there's a honey buzzard type of raptor on the trees here.
It's also the bird of Nagpur, right?
The honey buzzard?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Nagpur's bird.
Here you go. Gaur.
Oh wow.
Is it waiting for
गाड़ी नहीं आ
us?
रही ना?
Well, just making sure that we are not coming too close. Notice they have white socks on all four legs.
Record horizontally.
Bulls can weigh about 1 ton. Females are a little smaller in size. But despite their size, tigers are known to take gaur down.
Okay.
They do.
But they put up a fight, you say. Yeah.
They can inflict some serious injuries as well to tigers if the tiger is trying to hunt it.
And do they ever travel in packs or usually individuals only?
Bulls are solitary.
Okay.
Once they reach a certain age of maturity, then they are kicked out of the herd and they live a solitary life. Females and young ones live in a herd. And a bull gaur during the mating time, which is generally in the winters, if a bull gaur is able to smell or sense a female in heat, he will then associate or follow a herd for some time, mate with a female. Sometimes there might be 2-3 females in the herd that might have come in heat, mate with them and then leave the herd again.
And so if a tiger were to kill a gaur, I mean, I'm guessing it can eat it for like what? At least 2-3 weeks?
I have seen a male tiger in Kanha once who had hunted a bull gaur, an old gaur. So I think the gaur was not able to put up that much of a fight, and that's why this tiger was able to bring down a bull gaur and ate from this carcass for 10 days.
Wow.
So the interesting feature about the gaur, I mentioned, you must have noticed the white socks on all
Yeah.
4 legs. We don't exactly know the reason why, but there is one good explanation which makes a lot of sense. Is they don't see a lot of colors. That was a flameback woodpecker that made the sound. They don't see colors like we do. So for a gaur calf, which is really small in height, sometimes the grass and the shrubs are so tall that it cannot see where the adults are going, where to follow. But even through this shrubbery, white is a color that stands out.
Okay.
So irrespective of whether the gaur in front is its mother or some aunt or some older sibling, cousin, the young calf has only to do one thing, is follow the white color and it will be safe.
What is the line?
बारिश का चौकीदार
One Rakshak.
That's a forest guard who is on
Sambar
foot,
guard.
doing a foot patrolling round. So there's an interesting thing that the forest department does here now. This guard will have a mobile which has an app called M Stripes created by the forest department, and when the guard starts, he starts this app and this app is sort of tracking his movement. And anything interesting that he sees, let's say pug mark, we saw some tiger's cat, maybe a scratch mark, a kill, anything out of the ordinary, he will click a photo while the app is on, and all this data, his area that he has tracked, the photos he has clicked, everything gets uploaded to a system. So somebody sitting at the head office in Bhopal or even in the NTC, National Tiger Conservation Authority office in Delhi, they can see over a period of a week or a month or a year which areas are being patrolled, which areas are getting neglected, so they can formulate plans to increase patrolling in those areas. So all this is a very coordinated effort now, which has in turn helped us in curbing poaching to a very large extent in many parts of the country.
I think one more point I want to make is that they do a very thankless job. People don't really appreciate and acknowledge what they do, but going on foot in a tiger's territory is not sometimes the safest thing, right?
Yeah, very rightly said. These are the foot soldiers
These are the foot soldiers who look after the forest.
on the ground, putting their lives on the line to make sure that our wildlife is safe.
But what are the three or four main objectives of their patrolling? Is it something only? Do they report something only when there's something interesting, or do they also have to make a daily report even when there's absolutely nothing?
No, report is there. Like I said, now they don't have to do a physical report on paper.
Yeah.
Because the start time, end time, everything gets logged in automatically.
Yeah.
And of course, there are days when there's nothing to report. They don't come across a lot of things. But at least the map gets generated, so we know that the patrolling in this area has happened.
Okay. And by their movement, you can even track parts of the jungle that were otherwise not incorporated.
Not accessible by a jeep to like the place where he was walking. Now it's difficult for a vehicle to go in.
Yeah. And how are these guys safe? I mean, if suppose there's any time they find themselves in distress, there's a leopard or a tiger or any other predator, does this app, this, what is it called, M-Stripes?
M-Stripes.
Is there a way where they can alert?
The forest guards are from the villages around here. They have grown up seeing these animals around them, and they have been taught maybe by their fathers or maybe by other elders in the village what to do when you see a tiger or a leopard or some other animal, a bear, and they know how to behave in front of these animals. They never approach an animal, to click a selfie. What a lot of city people would want to do when they see a tiger. So they respect the animal's boundaries. They will sometimes, if a tiger is not willing to move, they will walk back. And of course, it's understandable. You could not complete your circuit year round because there's a tiger on the way. So they know how to stay safe in the forest. They have a little form of self-defense with them. They carry a pickaxe with them, which doubles up as a weapon just in case of need.
And does it, when a tiger sees a weapon like a sharp blade or does it have this memory, because so many of their ancestors might have been hunted using some of these instruments, right? A gun now might be the one that they recognize the most, but gun or a I don't know if there's any modern rendition of a bow and arrow, but when they see sharp metallic objects, does it register something in their mind?
They don't see weapons separately. If you're holding a axe or a gun it's extension of your body. They see that as a part of the animal.
Meaning if they have to charge at you, they will charge at you regardless of the weapon.
But what they can learn, identify and sort of change their behavior is seeing a two-legged animal which they can feel scared of. Human walking is, some animals get, like I said, expressions change.
ये अलीजोड़ की तरफ जा रहे हैं ना?
हाँ अलीजोड़ अभी थोड़ा सा ये झंडी भट्टा तालाब है, झंडी
वो चेक करते हैं।
चेक करते हैं।
हाँ, birds भी दिखी जाते हैं।
birds भी दिखेंगे।
इसको ऐसे पकड़ लेते
लक्ष्मी फीमेल टाइग्रेस का भी मूवमेंट है इस एरिया में। एक सब अडल्ट भी आता है, डंडी करके मार्क है उसमें, तो उसका भी चांस होता है।
क्या मार्क है?
टी मार्क बोलते हैं, उल्टा टी है उसके गाल में, तो टी मार्क की सब अडल्ट है अभी, उसका भी क्लियर नाम नहीं है, बाकी उसको टी मार्क बोल देते हैं।
सब अडल्ट यानी कितना एज होगा उसका?
उसका लगभग अभी लगभग 2.5 साल।
2.5 साल से।
यानी 30 months old, 30 महीना हो गया ना, 2-2.5 साल। तो अभी माँ को छोड़ा है।
हाँ, माँ को काफ़ी दूर हो गया लगभग।
और माँ कौन है उसकी? पता है आपने?
चूने वाली फीमेल।
पिकॉक ने यार मिस हो गया जानना, थोड़ा उसने अपने खोला था पर
अभी
वो दिख रहा है बट वो उसका
In its breeding colors now. That's the jungle crow.
This is a stock. Oh wow.
Painted stork coming down.
What is
What
the blue
does-
colored bird that just flew?
That is called
Indian
Indian roller in English. The Hindi name is Neelkant.
Okay.
Really colorful birds with bright patches of azure blue and dark blue on its wings.
What do these painted belly storks usually feed on?
Anything aquatic mostly. We'll sometimes see them in shallow waters dipping their beaks and trying to detect frogs, fish, water snakes. For example, with ducks, even with small birds like warblers, just before the migration starts, they put on a lot of weight. And then during the migration, ducks, for example, sometimes they will fly non-stop for 4 or 5 days. They
Oh
will-
really?
Yeah, they
5
sleep.
days non-stop?
They will sleep in their flight, and they almost lose 50% of their body weight during that time. So duck, when it starts migration, let's say if it weighs about 1 kilo, by the time it reaches its winter ground here in India, it might weigh just about 500 grams.
Where do they come from usually?
Some of these ducks come from Northern Asia, Central Asia. Then we get smaller birds like we have a lot of warblers that are winter migrants, red starts, wagtails. Some of these also come from Eastern Europe.
Oh wow.
That's a stork, right?
That's the painted
Painted
stork
stork.
again. If it lands in this is a slightly juvenile bird, so the colors are not yet very bright.
But usually they have a very
Ah,
bright pink, bright orange face and beak, and then pink on the wings.
So
storks,
now.
Yes.
storks land in a water body and then look for a prey, right?
Around the
Unlike
water bodies,
kingfishers who first find the prey and then
Yes. Yeah. Storks, now see what it is doing is it will sort of swipe its beak sideways, and you will see fish jumping away from it. And their beaks are really sensitive. They have a lot of nerve endings in their beaks. So when they are moving, they feel the movement of the prey. If they feel something is close by, they'll snap their beak at it quickly.
And do all of these subspecies have? How do you differentiate between a male and a female in these?
With some birds, there's a clear difference. We call it sexual dimorphism. The male looks completely different, the female looks different. But with birds like the red wattle lapwing, there is no difference. The male and female look exactly the same. They're of the same size,
And
same
can-
color.
Sorry, this is a very novice question, so please don't judge me for asking. But this is a red-bottled lapwing. Can it mate with any other lapwing?
Generally, the definition of
what are they
species...
trying to do? See?
So the red wattle lapwing is mobbing the crow, because a crow can eat its young ones. So it doesn't like the presence of a crow around its nesting site. So it was mobbing and scaring the crow so that it can sort of scare it away from this site.
So would I be wrong if I said that that one could be the male protecting and this one could be the female with
Or
the
could be
eggs?
the other. I mean, there's a good chance they are partners, but it could also be that the male is on the nest right now. They
Okay.
share the duties of incubating and looking after the young ones. So right now it could be the male's turn to be on the nest and the female is guarding
Got
the
it.
site. Or the other way around, like
Got
you
it.
said. But because they look exactly the same, there's no way of telling the difference.
So yeah, I was just asking one novice question, which is red-bottled lapwing. Can it mate with any other
So
lapwing?
the definition of species is that it can only mate within its own population, within its own species, and not with any other species. For example, we have a related species called the yellow wattle lapwing.
Yeah,
Ideally, they should not be able to
mate.
and produce viable offsprings. But occasionally, there are some exceptions that we have noticed in the wild. Not with lapwings, but with some other birds. There are hybrid. It happens a lot with ducks. Ducks of different species are sometimes known to breed and create offsprings that look like hybrids between the two.
वो किंगफिशर बैठ के आवाज कर रहा है
White-throated kingfisher, no, but landed on that.
See that? Okay, yeah.
So it's sitting on that perch because it's looking for something in the water, right? What the minute it finds something, it will go and
Dive. We'll come back on this side. Don't see anything there. We'll come back.
मैंने तो बोला अपनी किस्मत में आज लिखा है टाइगर.
So Pranad, actually I'll ask him to बनवारी जी पगमाक लगे हैं उस तरफ जाने की कि उस तरफ जाने की
आगे जाने के
उसको उस पकड़ ले प्लीज.
यहाँ है ना
हाँ.
बनवारी जी मेरे को एक बात बताइए जहाँ अपन खड़े थे और जहाँ से कॉल आया उस बीच में कहीं पानी है क्या सब जो
इसमें
टाइगर
पानी नहीं है, यही पानी है अपना जो झंडे भट्टा तालाब और ये सोलर यहाँ पे
वो पनवट हाँ वो सॉस
ये दो ही पानी तो उस साइड जाएगा
हाँ
तो आगे बाकी इसमें पानी नहीं है दोनों रोड के बीच में सिर्फ यही पानी अगर आएगा तो ये सोलर तालाब इधर क्रॉस हुआ तो फिर थोड़ा दूर में साझा तालाब करके उधर जाती है मार्किंग उनको पता ही थी है पोस्टी पे मार्किंग है शायद उधर से भी हो सकता है भगवान थोड़ी बड़े लग रहे थे तो मेल भी हो सकता है
Vinay and I were talking about tiger crocodile battles. I was just very curious because it's on the ground. What
Yeah.
I mean, it must be having. It has teeth which are very sharp, right? And it can.
Crocodiles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
can.
really powerful bite force.
But can they pull a tiger in once they?
A big crocodile can definitely pull a medium-sized tiger in.
a very heavy male would be difficult for even for them. Tigers are also very powerful swimmers, but tigers especially will avoid confrontation if it is not needed.
Especially, I'm guessing with water-borne animals, I don't know if it's going to indulge in a lot of conflict, and it kind of knows that land is its strength. Or am I wrong about that?
Like for example, you're talking about a tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, when it's swimming, it needs to focus a lot on swimming. And if it drowns, it will die. So all these fights, wherever it's recorded, tigers killing crocodiles, mostly in Ranthambore, it's always happened in either on land or dry or shallow water bodies. Never in deep waters.
And what level of depth is comfortable for a tiger to swim in?
Oh, tigers are strong swimmers. They can cross rivers which are fairly deep as well.
Okay. But when they're swimming, are there like heads above water or body above water? Or
Usually you just see a little bit of the head and you see the movement of the back and the tail. Otherwise the rest of the body is all submerged.
And barring the Royal Bengal tiger, do we have any other variants?
In India we only have the Bengal tiger that we get everywhere in all the forests. India, Nepal, Bangladesh and Bhutan, these 4 countries, the subspecies of tiger that is found here is called the Bengal tiger. So these spotted deer alarm calls that we heard were in between the lake where we were and this patch. Forest. An owl that just flew away.
नहीं बैठा है ना
हाँ बेटा पीछे वाला टिक्की है
ऊपर वो साइड की ब्रांच
राइट पे
That is the call of the pitta.
आगे बढ़ रही है क्या
पानी देना ना please.
Pigeons.
Just giving it to you.
You would suna bhi that is and there's like a drilling machine sound also, right? That the that kind of.
So they do drumming, or we hear the drumming because of drumming itself is a type of a song for the woodpecker. When it's drumming, it is trying to establish a territory, attract a mate, compete with rivals in that area. So that is unique to each species. कहाँ से आ रहे? कहाँ पे? इधर कॉल हुआ अभी डियर का. हम लोग तालाब पे थे, इधर बीच में हुआ.
ये तो तूरिया की गाड़ी है ना.
बाकी इधर साजा तालाब पे पंजे थे, बता रहे थे. टाइम ऐसा था कि there were 3 male tigers.
उधर से सुने थे साइड उधर भी हाँ
यहाँ पे जो टेरिटरी कंट्रोल करते थे. एलमार की सबसे ज़्यादा थी, स्वास्तिक का तुरिया गेट की तरफ था, और कुंभा करके मेल टाइगर था टूवर्ड्स कर्माजिरी गेट.
वो भी नहीं दिखता ना.
नहीं, कुंभा भी चला गया अब. एंड एलमार के दोनों गालों पे एल शेप का स्ट्राइप था.
चला गया मतलब.
और स्वास्तिक और
Swastika, I'm assuming, is this.
स्वास्तिक हैज ऑन हिज राइट चीक, बट लेफ्ट चीक पे उसको भी एल था.
But the swastika shape.
एंड कुंभा को भी लेफ्ट चीक पे एल था.
Swastik is the
तीनों टाइगर
Nazi
में
tiger.
कंफ्यूज.
So
Swastika is still alive though.
yeah.
Swastik. Abhi today, I mean, right now, Swastik has the biggest area of. For
He's
male
the dominant
tigers
male in this jungle.
in the core area.
What about that X mark?
X mark is on one side. of
He's
the
towards Pure 30 camp and camera mode and all he covers, right?
park.
S mode, camera mode, Pure 30 पूरा.
भी आता है
Bijamatta
What is
Talab.
S mode camera mode?
अपने
Areas in the
mode,
forest.
S shape mode मतलब
Turn.
turn और S यानी S shape. Camera mode because my
जोर
time पे
चलने
कैमरा लगाया गया था.
Oh.
थोड़ा आगे चल के चेक करके आते हैं. वो लंगूर की कॉल्स हो रहे बता रहे थे वहाँ पे.
हम अगर वो कॉल्स अंदर हुए तो आप बोले ना पानी पीने वहीं है एक सोर्स.
बस एक बार लंगूर के कॉल्स चेक
हाँ,
करके.
हाँ.
ये भी हो सकता है ये डियर ने कॉल दिए तो यहाँ से वहाँ मूवमेंट करी हो और लंगूर वहाँ पे कॉल दे.
तो Pranad, in your experience, in the scope of Pench only, किस एनिमल के अलार्म कॉल को आप सबसे ज़्यादा ट्रस्ट करोगे? बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स दीज आर जस्ट फेक कॉल्स और कॉल्स मेड आउट ऑफ डिस्ट्रेस विच आर नॉट इवन
Fearing a predator.
या
So alarm calls जो देते हैं इसमें one of the most common animals is the spotted deer. But spotted deer के calls हम लोग थोड़ा कम reliable मानते हैं because it's an animal that gets scared very easily, very timid creature. कई बार मतलब in Pench itself I've seen there are a couple of spotted deer on this side of the bush. उनको bush के अंदर कुछ movement दिख रही है इसलिए they give alarm calls. But they are not able to see clearly. Bush के अंदर दूसरे deer ही है. It's not a tiger or a leopard. So these calls can be a bit unreliable. Langur calls, definitely if a langur is calling that means कोई तो predator है that the monkey is able to see. हम लोग यहाँ पे रुकते हैं. इधर left में call हुआ है.
Yeah, everyone's waiting.
So langur is definitely able to see a predator, but because langurs sometimes sit high up on a tree, they can see very far away. So it could mean that langur is giving a call here, but the predator is somewhere really far away. Then the third animal that we hear is the sambar deer, and usually we think the sambar deer calls are very reliable because it's a big deer, so it is not as timid as the spotted deer is. So it will give a call when it sees a predator, and because their eyesight is not very good, it usually means that the predator is
Quite
very
close.
to where the calls are happening.
And is it true that they say that when sambar deer, when they see a tiger or a predator, they start giving out calls, but they are a little dumb in the sense that they only are looking in that direction. Even if the tiger has moved, they are just looking there and still giving out calls. Is what I've heard from guides. Could be wrong also.
The reason for that is, like I said, sambar deer eyesight is really poor. They rely more on their sense of smell rather than their sense of
Eyesight.
sight. So even if the predator has moved a little bit, the smell is still coming from the direction where the wind is blowing. So they will continue looking, or the hair will be in that direction rather than following the predator that way.
सुने आप?
Peacock के alarm call सुने हैं मैंने.
Main experience, my obviously very limited experience in safari, is that any more than 5-6 cars then becomes very difficult.
I mean, nothing like seeing it alone, but
No, I've never seen it when there are like say 7-8 cars stopping. But obviously very limited experience. Whereas अकेले या 2 या 3 कार में देखो तो पूरा अच्छे से दिख जाता है.
Sometimes we have seen a tiger, I mean a predator, even when there are 30-40 jeeps around. But yeah, it's a little chaotic at that time.
Like if I have to ask you, maybe say, what is that one dominant, of course, is it that one animal that makes, what is that one animal, chalo, I mean, I don't want to push it on you, but that makes you curious
Baghinala
each
se
time
gaadi aayi
that you see it?
Baghinala
So,
side
like I said, tiger is definitely exciting, but in my personal opinion, like, tiger is also one of the
नहीं,
most
अभी
studied
गाड़ी
animals
तो आई
in the
है
world. When I said that, guides will tell you,
आई
"Oh, यहाँ
है
से
गाड़ी।
बाहर आएगा, यहाँ पे
टूरिया की कोई
बैठेगा."
गाड़ी आई है.
Because people have observed this animal, studied it, so we know what behavior a tiger. Always, it's a wild animal, so it might do something, but most of the time you can predict what it. There are animals, especially nocturnal animals, which are less studied. So I feel more excited on seeing, let's say, a porcupine or a civet, because you don't get to see
Pangolin,
them.
yeah.
Pangolins, you don't get to see them.
it would be a dream to see
as
one.
often as you get to see a tiger or leopard. For me personally,
Those
those
are-
are more exciting.
I think statistically, in the last 20 years of you being in wildlife, I think you must have seen 200 different tigers, seen them at least across over 500 times, but I think you must have seen a pangolin less than 10 times. in 20 years?
I have never seen a pangolin in the wild yet.
What?
Oh, wow.
I've seen a rescued pangolin once, but I've never come across one yet on a safari or a
Civet?
nature walk. Civets, yes, I've seen.
Civet
Because
even
civets
I've
also
seen,
like
yeah.
to stay very close to humans, villages sometimes.
जामतारा के बाहर ही देखा है मैंने तो.
And porcupines also sometimes on safaris, especially early in the morning or late in the evening. Porcupine is like the holy grail for me.
Porcupine तो भी
Sorry,
CM के घर में
pangolin.
निकला था.
Pangolin is the
करण.
holy grail.
Porcupine नागपुर में चीफ मिनिस्टर के घर के बाहर निकला था.
I want to ask you also, Vinay.
हाँ.
I was asking Pranad this as well. You know, you guys have seen so many tigers, probably the same tiger multiple times. He, of course, because he's in the forest.
Right.
But even you, as someone who's visiting almost every, you know, every week or every 2 weeks, what is like that one? What excites you to see? What about that majestic animal just wants you to see it more and more and more?
I don't know. I don't think I can put my finger on one thing, but when I saw a tiger for the first time in the wild versus when I see it now, the feeling is still the same. Like I think nothing is parallel to the aura or the presence of a tiger. When it walks on the road, it walks like the king of the jungle.
But
You will
is it-
see it in its personality, in its characteristics. The whole jungle is quiet when he's walking around,
But is it also because?
or very loud when he's walking around out of.
Is it also because a lot of it is just inherited, meaning we read about tigers before we saw them?
See, it's
As
it's
kids.
true like that, right? You read a lot about Virat Kohli in the newspapers, and when you see him live, it's that feeling of awe. But the same goes with tigers too. But one thing that's different is you don't know what it's going to do. You don't know what the next minute, the next second holds for you, right? So that sense of excitement, that sense of feeling of adventure is what gives me that adrenaline rush when I see a tiger. What also interests me is the art of survival and how such big species or big beings.
कॉल थी बता रहे इधर, इसलिए गाड़ियाँ रुकी है. हम लोग तालाब पे थे झंडी मटा, तो इस तरफ डियर की कॉल हुई थी. फिर इधर बता रहे लंगूर और पीकॉक की कॉल हुई है, बट अभी रुक गई है. इधर साजा तालाब के इधर और इधर अंदर भी थे बता रहे. हम मनु तालाब से आए. Each has roughly a population of about 60-70 adult tigers,
Okay.
and then the cubs are not usually counted in the population. But if you include the cubs, then I think the number would go up to about 120, 130 individuals. And this is I'm talking about on the MP side of it. Maharashtra side has a separate.
But be less only, likely, right?
The last time I heard they had about 40, 50.
Okay.
Because the area is same, roughly there, but a lot of big chunk of the forest there also is submerged under the reservoir water. Just very quickly, because we are passing there, there's a big tree on the left. This is an Arjun tree, right? And then you see the scratch marks.
Yeah.
So this is done by a tiger. The way they mark the territory, one of the ways is called rake marking. What a tiger will do is stand on its hind legs and using the front claws, it will scratch on the tree bark. This is one way of telling other tigers that this is my area, my territory.
So, when a new tiger comes to this territory, it will try to mark, try to
Erase it.
no, not erase it, but try to mark next to the existing marks, and that way it will see where is it able to do. Is it able to do it right on the side, underneath, or over? If it's able to do it over that existing mark, that means this tiger is bigger. So it will mark that tree, and that will in a way be a challenge to that existing tiger that hey, I'm challenging you for this territory. If it's lower, he'll just move to a new area because he knows this existing tiger is bigger and he cannot really fight him.
Does a fight over territory have to end up in one tiger killing the other?
Most of the fights, they don't get physical at all because the tiger is a solitary animal.
Yeah.
If a tiger gets seriously injured in a fight, nobody is going to bring food to this tiger. There's nobody to tend to its injuries. So many times, if one of the two tigers feels that the opponent is bigger, stronger, healthier, one of them will accept defeat even before the first punch is actually played.
What is the deadliest tiger battle that's happened in Pench's history? As far as you know?
I'll talk about some of the recent fights. So Elmark used to control a lot of the area in the core, the tourism part of it, and then this new guy Swastik started coming in. And although we didn't see a fight, there were times we have heard tigers fighting from deep in the jungle, and we assumed that these two were fighting because it was their territory. These are the male tigers that we used to see more often. And then at an older age, we started seeing Elmark was sporting a big cut on his nose, which probably was inflicted by Swastik. Eventually, Swastik took over most of the areas, and Elmark sort of started moving out, was pushed out of much of its former territory.
How is the naming of these tigers agreed upon? Like Swastik, how many people have to confirm that okay, this tiger can be called Swastik, this tiger can be called Elmark, this can be called Flying Bird?
So there is no such procedure as such to this. When a new tiger is seen in the tourism area, the guides, the drivers, the naturalists, the people start using some name for it. Sometimes it's based on an area. For example, we have Kala Pahad female over here because she has an area in Kala Pahad. Her territory covers an area called Kala Pahad.
क्या बोली?
तालाब तक के गए थे।
Patdev female because there's an area called Patdev and she's seen over there. Sometimes it is based on some mark on the tiger because their stripes are unique. So we have L mark, X mark, Swastik also has a swastik like symbol on his right cheek. And sometimes it's a random name, even human names are used. For example, we have a tigress named Lakshmi over here. She also has an L-shaped mark, so when people saw that, people thought we should give her a name starting with L. And then somebody started, oh Lakshmi hai, Lakshmi hai. So that stuck around.
But does this get officially logged?
No, officially they only have a code, which is T and some number following that. For example, we have Patdev female, her official code is T4.
And these T4, T5, T6, all these names, they are, I'm assuming, ascertained by the mark only, the unique mark, right?
No, these are serially given.
हाँ, but आपको कैसे मालूम कि T5 जो है वो कैसे?
So there's
T4
a
से अलग है?
database. The forest department has that. So T4, left flank, right flank, head ka photo from the camera trap images or something, they will have in their records.
And even the territories are recorded, or it is just assumed कि अब इसकी territory ये हो गई है?
Territories keep on changing. Like I mentioned, Elmark had control over most of these parts, but then he had to move out. So there is no sense in keeping a law because these keep on changing. New tiger comes in, old tiger has to shift out. Or a sub-adult tiger that's senior has to move out later on in his age to find its own territory.
हमने तो वही है बूढ़ा नाला तालाब में जल सकता है।
चिंदी मट्टा नहीं बूढ़ा ना
डाउन उतरे अली
So we haven't heard any alarm calls here for some time. So we'll move out of this area. We'll check some other territory areas, other water holes, to see if we get any movement over there.
So actually I wanted to ask you Do you think it's true or it's possible that a big male stag, sambar, would not give out alarm calls if it saw, let's say, if it saw a leopard? Because it's too big for a leopard to kill.
I have seen sambar deer give alarm call even when there's a jungle cat around.
Really? Because I heard this from some guide and I felt like it doesn't really add up or make sense. Like if the leopard really wants, it can cause damage, and deer by nature, for them it's a matter of life and death, right? So when
Could
it comes
be that the leopard is not in a hunting mood at all and the deer sort of
Yeah,
realizes
yeah.
this. There's no threat and
Right.
that's why that deer is not giving alarm calls. We see this more often with monkeys because they're smart. Based on the body language of the animal or the predator, they can understand if this animal is in hunting mood or not. So there are-
आगे हो रहा है प्रणाम.
इधर ही है
टू डिफरेंट जगहों से कॉल आया ना. हाँ तो मतलब दोनों को दिख. हाँ है तो सही कुछ. हाँ. So current tigers and cats usually like walking through these nalas because it gives them cover still, and there's always water there somewhere along the way. Mark लगना ही signs are of a tiger more than a leopard. तो फिर कोई बोला ना डियर को देख के बोल दिया.
टाइगर वो एक सागर तालाब की तरफ भी पगमा से उससे वो निकल गया और रात में घना पेड़ जो है
उनके पास उनकी गाड़ी में बच्चा रो रहा था इसलिए वो
Bro.
दिखा.
देखा पिक्चर.
You can see in the distance of the view finder.
Yeah.
ये वाला टाइगर देख लो बाद में अगर सेंटर पे बात करेंगे.
उठा अंदर चला गया. आ रहा है रोड पे.
आने देते हैं उसको अभी.
हाँ आने दे.
वो अभी जोड़ जाएगा. आज ही बढ़ा नहीं पाता था जाने. वो रोड के बिल्कुल नज़दीक आएगा इसके आगे. वो कहाँ से जाएगा बताओ. वो ऐसा जाएगा डाउन के नीचे से.
Peacock. Karan, can you sit?
बोलेंगे आगे चलो आगे चलो.
बोलने दो ना.
आने दो ना उसको थोड़ा सा आगे.
आने दो पास में थोड़ा.
टेक पे लेके रोक देते हैं मुझे.
फिर हाँ ना फिर उधर से.
Where is it gone?
थोड़ा डाउन.
Oh yes. Oh shit.
Where is it?
Akash. See, bro.
बस रात होने दे दो. के पास से जा रहा हूँ, डरता है बोल के. देख रही?
Is the bump that you see there, like the cone-shaped bump on the just below the neck on the first part of the belly, is that characteristic of the Bengal tiger?
No, do you see a loose flap of skin?
Yeah.
So males have that, females don't have that.
ये वो ये तेजा उल्टा
आप
This
वीडियो उसका
little
लेते
cone right
रहो
on the back.
क्योंकि मेरे में आएगा ही नहीं इतना दूर इतना पास.
जाएगा सर अली जोड़. टाइम लगेगा लेकिन पक्का अली जोड़ जाएगा.
फॉरेस्ट गार्ड है पीछे. So males, one is have a slightly longer mane on their cheeks. Females usually don't have sport that big a mane. Secondly, loose flap of skin है. Belly पे hang करता है. And obviously the size is also much bigger than a female tiger.
अम्मी
आपके साइड दबा लो तो दिखेगा.
पूरा दिख रहा है. No, but the cone on the back, that's what I'm like. Just ये
That's
cone.
because those are the shoulder blades.
हाँ.
वो even for the females you'll see.
They'll have. But do all variants of the tiger have it, or is it a Bengal tiger thing only?
Not just wait. You'll see the shoulder blades on a bull also, like cow. You'll see it on leopards also. You'll see it on.
ये जो आपके यहाँ neck पे जो cone जैसे एक बल जो आता है वो.
हाँ, so basically this is the shoulder blade ना. वो उनके से ऊपर की तरफ दिखती है. So that mound जैसा है. That is the shoulder blade actually.
ये अली जोड़ पहुँचेगा लगभग 8 साढ़े 8 तक. अली जोड़ जाएगा ये.
अभी तो out of sight है. Why did you get annoyed when they called the tiger Teja?
The reason I got annoyed is one, I don't believe you should name tigers. Firstly, because it's not a human. Secondly, what the hell is Teja? Teja sounds like some Sanjay Dutt as a villain in a movie. T है तो संजय तेजा, S होता तो क्या शाहरुख बुलाओगे तुम? सलमान भी है टाइगर का नाम है, यहाँ नहीं कहीं और.
में पहले
मैंने कल जो टाइग्रेस देखी उसके नाम पता है क्या आपको? दोनों टाइग्रेस, वन इज पिंकी और एक का नाम पिंकी है और दूसरी का नाम है लाली. पिंकी को टाइगर जैसे साउंड करता है, वो पिंकी कोई नाम है टाइगर का रखने को.
So you mean to advocate that a tiger should be seen as a tiger and nothing more
Yeah,
than.
they've given codes, right? If
But like for example with Pench,
Yeah.
the forest department does not share the codes with us.
Because you
so
can,
I still believe call it by some factor that identifies it, like L mark or swastik or Paddev because Paddev was born there, or Ulta T for that matter. You have it, right? It's right there. Then Teja has absolutely no relation or link to it. And these guys get excited. They all want their own names. 2 hours later, you will find some other guy who will be calling it Tejas.
वहाँ से महुआ के पास से भी अच्छी मिल जाती है.
तो वो नाले के ऊपर जहाँ एक जगह है वहाँ पे वहीं पे मोड़ लेता है.
but
यहाँ
do
भी
you
घूम जाएगी ना.
do you think storybooks are the reason why suddenly naming, humanizing, fantasizing, romanticizing, all of that has happened?
नहीं, I personally feel that individual tigers should be identified. Doesn't matter what you, because he doesn't know what he's called.
Yeah.
He doesn't know his number is T61 or whatever. But individual tigers show different behaviors. So to differentiate that, we should know.
पीछे नाला है but
So whatever you want to use a number, use a name.
So I'm not against the idea of naming
हाँ.
or identifying, but not like
What names
these kind
should
of
be
names.
used?
Shambhu is one tiger in Tadoba.
Which
Again, no logic.
it's probably named like Bagheera was in Jungle Book, and
But that's a book, right? That's
Yeah.
a fictional story. That's
but even if you've read the history of teddy bears, right? I mean, some random person realized that to humanize animals, that's how they made it a toy. Otherwise, a bear is a wild animal. It's probably not going to spare a human if it sees it. Even if it doesn't eat it, it'll probably kill it in self-defense. But then somehow, someone in Denmark or Sweden or something like that
It's
started-
named after Theodore Roosevelt,
Yeah,
the
Prime
US
Ministers
president.
of presidents of US.
what are they still seeing?
दिख रहा होगा दूर से या तो फिर बता रहे यहाँ गया करके।
या तो इनको अच्छे से नहीं दिखा होगा और वो-
इसका-
नहीं, अभी पहुँच रही है गाड़ियाँ।
इसका मैंने जब नोज देखा फोटो में जूम इन करके,
इधर से नाले से निकला इधर गया उल्टा टी।
अपना अलीगढ़ में एक ही गाड़ी नहीं, 6-7 गाड़ी, 6-7 थी।
सी हैविंग अ नेम लाइक उल्टा टी हेल्प्स यू आइडेंटिफाई. अभी हमने तेजा बोला होता ना, आधी गाड़ियाँ समझी नहीं होती क्योंकि वो अकेला गाइड ही जानता है तेजा.
नहीं, अब इसमें कंफ्यूजन क्या है ना, देयर आर 2 मेल टाइगर्स जिनको उल्टा टी है। एक जुनेवानी का बच्चा है जो अलीजोड़ में दिखता है, और एक ज़्यादा एडल्ट है जो बुरादेत और ये यहाँ पे पूरा झंडी मट्टा तालाब वगैरह पे दिखता है।
हमको जो अडल्ट दिखा है,
हमको दिखा है, वो एक बार स्ट्राइप्स कंपेयर कर लेंगे बाद में। आप बोल रहे हो ये जुनेवानी वाला बच्चा है?
हाँ वही लग रहा है सर, क्योंकि ये अलीगढ़ में जो बैठता था
हाँ,
वही वाला है।
मेरे को पता नहीं क्यों आई गॉट दिस
वो
वेरी
जो है ना वो थोड़ा डलता है, जो आप बोल रहे हो एक जो
बुरादेत वाला।
हाँ वो इतना नज़दीक नहीं आता, वो दूर भागता है वो
पर अभी बीच में बता रहे थे वो ये तालाब में बैठा था और बहुत गाड़ियाँ थी झंडी मट्टा तालाब में शाम
हाँ
को।
तो उस साइड था, दूर था थोड़ा।
चलो बाद में स्ट्राइक्स कंपेयर करके पता चला।
पता नहीं आई गॉट दिस वेरी सिडिस्टिक फीलिंग कि हमको दिखा और बाकियों को नहीं दिखा.
वो बहुत अच्छी फीलिंग है. अब हम दूसरा एक्सप्लोर करने और जा सकते हैं. वो लोग बेचारे पूरी आस लगा के अली जोड़ पे खड़े रहेंगे.
Just like our collectible, even the experience of spotting a tiger should be rare and preserved.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal every moment to market my product.
एक सेकंड जंगल
अच्छा
आउटलेट
बेटा।
बहुत अच्छा बैठा है. ये देखो. अरे यार ये आउल उड़ गया.
चलो वो बैठा है, बैठा है, ये जो बैठा है वो इसके पीछे बैठा है।
यहाँ से अच्छा दिखा।
वो गया लेकिन
वल्चर बोले ना.
नहीं, आउटलेट बोला था।
अच्छा मैं वल्चर सुना.
कैन यू सीन करूँ?
I can see the back.
हाँ, वो एक पतला हॉरिजॉन्टल ब्रांच है, उसके ऊपर बैठा है। So this is the adult size of this owl. That is where the name jungle owlet.
यार I'm feeling very stupid right now. मेरे को तो साला लगा हमेशा कि owl is a night bird.
So jungle owlet and villages के आसपास spotted owlet दिखता है. These two
उड़ गया क्या?
owls are active at dawn and dusk
As well.
not in the afternoon.
I felt really stupid. मेरे को लगा कि owl तो मतलब night वाला ही animal है.
So most owls are nocturnal, but we have these two species here. एक ये jungle owlet है, which we see more in the forests, and spotted owlet that is also similar size, but usually we see them more around the villages, fields. So these two owls are more active at dawn and dusk, from evening, late evening period till early morning, even after the sun comes out for a little while.
And they sleep in the afternoon.
उधर जा रहा है अलीजोड़ की तरफ।
हाँ।
मेल, हाँ वो हिस्सा बटा।
ये सब अडल्ट है.
हाँ सब अडल्ट ही है।
इतना बड़ा.
उधर जा रहा
क्रॉस
है,
हुआ,
क्रॉस
अलीजोड़ जा रहा है।
अलीजोड़ की तरफ।
हाँ,
सब अडल्ट ही है। ये लगभग
3 साढ़े 3 साल.
लगभग 3 साल की, 3 साल की।
Tiger.
जुनेवानी का बच्चा है तो ये 3 साल के
3
आसपास
साल
है। और अगर ये वो दूसरा वाला है तो वो भी 4-5 साल का ही है, वो भी ज़्यादा बहुत बड़ा नहीं है, वो 5 साल का।
इसका नोज मैंने देखा तो एकदम पिंक था.
हाँ, फिर ये जुनेवानी का बच्चा होने के चांसेस।
Again, Junevani now, how is that name come?
एरिया का
There's a
नाम.
lake
Okay.
called Junevani Lake, and the female who holds the territory around that lake is called Junevani female.
So nose is one way of looking at a tiger and telling how old it is, right?
Younger the tiger, the
The pinker the nose, and the older it gets,
darker.
spottier.
Yeah, starts getting black spots and a black border.
How many leopards are there totally in the park?
लेपर्ड्स के लिए कोई सेंसस है नहीं, वैसे हुआ नहीं है यहाँ पे, बट गिवन द एरिया पेंच कैन इजीली होल्ड अबाउट 80 to 100 leopards which are residents hold the territory, and then obviously with leopards there are some nomadic leopards, young leopards who are still trying to establish a territory. Pench can easily be home to 100 plus leopards.
And they don't have names also then, right? So like a unique way to differentiate between leopard.
Again, the spots, the markings are unique. You can actually identify individual leopards if you study those.
है ना आगे वाला ना सबसे.
But
Peacock.
trying to see a stripe which is a bigger pattern than spots which are small is difficult. And also leopards are shy creatures, so many times you don't get sightings which are leisurely sightings where you can study the markings that easily. Most of the sightings are sort of a leopard running across the road, so you blink and you miss. Or they are very far away from the safari track, so you don't get to study the pattern that properly.
Rhesus macaque.
There's a different kind of monkey here, the rhesus macaque. We had seen langurs before.
And see, it also has a baby.
So these are smaller and more terrestrial in their behavior compared to the langurs. You can see they have much shorter tails, whereas langurs with their long tails, it helps them have balance when they are jumping from one tree to other.
These guys are faster, I'm assuming, right?
Langurs, if they're jumping on trees, they can move much faster.
Okay.
On ground, these are faster.
So we
Do they fight rhesus macaque and langurs
with each other, not so much. Langurs, being bigger animals, are usually more dominant
So
than
if there's a troop of langurs, will the troop of rhesus macaque go away, or will it stay, or doesn't it doesn't matter?
in a forest like in Pench, there is enough food to go around. So I've seen a troop of langurs and a troop of macaques coexist very peacefully.
तो बनवारी जी मुझे एक बात बताइए, काफ़ी लोग बोलते हैं कि लेपर्ड्स को रॉक पसंद है या रॉकी एरियाज पसंद है, उसका कारण क्या होता है? वो क्यों रॉक प्रेफर करते हैं मैदानों के ऊपर?
और रॉक पे इसलिए रहना पसंद करते हैं, देखो वहाँ पे तो एक छिपने के लिए उनको जगह भी हो जाती है। दूसरा जैसे कि रॉक ऊपर यानी कि बड़ा रॉक है, बैठ के उस पर खाना किल खाना और दूर का भी दिख जाता है। ज़्यादा करके लेपर्ड रॉक या ट्री इस्तेमाल करते हैं, जैसे किल किया तो कील को रॉक पे ले जाके रखेगा, वहाँ पे बैठेगा, खाएगा, या देखेगा कि ज़्यादा खतरा है तो ट्री पे ले जाएगा, ऊपर चढ़ेगा ट्री को। ज़्यादा बड़ा कील रहता है तो नहीं ले जा पाता है। तो रॉक से रॉक अगामा है।
क्या है?
रॉक अगामा।
This first big
You
rock.
see it, correct?
Red on the head.
It's a lizard type of. It's a chameleon,
Rock agama.
but the same family.
Lizard family.
Lizard, yeah. Reptile ultimately.
So this lizard that we saw just now, this is called the Blandford's rock agama,
Right.
and we saw the male. So the male during this time of the year, this is
Right.
a breeding time, they get this color which is black with bright red on their heads and their backs. And if you noticed, it did some push-ups. So that is the way of male trying to impress females, trying to show his strength
Oh, really?
to maybe a female or a rival.
That
male.
that push-up kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
The female is all very drab in color. Females usually, if they're on brown rocks like these or on tree barks, they get camouflage. So they have very similar colors. And even the males during the non-breeding time, their color is very similar to those of the females. So that helps them blend in and stay out of sight from the predators that might try to eat them.
So it's doing the push-ups because it can see a female and we can't.
Maybe it is just scouting the area because it moved very quickly
Oh,
through
damn.
it
Jumping,
jumped
huh?
on a tree. From the rock, it jumped onto the tree.
Wow.
So it's just scouting the area and maybe doing a few push-ups on the way in case there is something around.
This is a common cuckoo, no?
Yes. We
What
use
is
the
this?
mnemonic brain fever.
Brain fever, yeah.
Brain fever to remember the calls.
And for lapwings, they say, did you do it, right?
Yes. The lapwing goes titty-to-it, titty-to-it. So you, did you do it? Did you do it? We have a few of these very unique looking white colored trees around us. So these are called ghost trees, or the other English name is Indian gum trees, because in the past gum was extracted from the bark. The reason it is called ghost tree is in the night when there's good amount of moonlight falling on the bark, it seems as if the tree is glowing because everything else is pitch dark, pitch black, but the tree shines
Bright
in
in
its with its white color. And people in the past thought there are some spirits living in the tree, and that's why the tree is glowing. So that's why the name ghost tree. Locally over here, people call it kullu.
Kullu.
Kullu. That's the indigenous name in these parts. If you look on the branches, it is almost leafless. So the amazing part about this tree is for about 7 to 8 months in a year, the tree will not have any leaves at all. For the 3 or 4 months of the monsoon, the tree starts having these leaves. If you see right now, the young leaves have just started sprouting. And if you come here a month later, you will see these big trees. The whole tree branches will be covered with leaves. But by October, November, they will once again shed the leaves. And now, through the whole year, rest of the year, when there are no leaves, the interesting part is the white color of the bark actually allows light to filter in, and the bark has chlorophyll. So if you notice some of the white patches, you will see a slight green tinge.
Yeah.
That's because of the chlorophyll. And when there are no leaves on the tree, it is the bark that is performing the function of photosynthesis. Right now, there's a little bit of pink tinge on the branches because now the leaves will come and they will do photosynthesis. So the tree will take this time, the bark will take this time to sort of
Rest up.
and shed the entire outer layer. You'll have these pink papery things coming off the bark and falling down. So the bark changes its outer coat, so it's completely green. Once their once they have to perform photosynthesis once again, they don't want any dust or anything blocking the sunlight coming in.
Wow. And these trees, because you're saying gum used to be extracted from them, I'm assuming it's not as commonly found, is it?
It is a fairly common tree, I would say, but it does not grow anywhere.
Okay.
It only grows in rocky areas. So if you have a area which has soil and doesn't have as many rocks around, you won't have a lot of these trees over there.
So while we were waiting for while we were there looking at the ghost tree, Banwari ji and I, we heard one peacock call, and before that we had heard one cheetal call from the same direction. So, ये right
Yes,
की
chase.
तरफ से है, right की।
What is the season that physiologically affects tigers the worst?
I think summer is really torturous for them because they have a very thick coat of fur. It's like a fur coat that they cannot unzip and remove. So they feel really hot this time of the year, and that is why in the summer we see tigers sitting in water bodies. That's one way they try to cool themselves down. Even the tiger that we saw just now, if you had noticed, the back part was a little muddy.
Yeah.
So he had definitely rested or sort of been in the mud, in muddy water somewhere. Again, the main reason being to cool himself down. and he's heading towards another water hole. So we might go and spend the afternoon again
At a water bottle.
sitting dipped in water somewhere.
And does every, I mean, again, novice question, probably not, doesn't have a lot of validity. But does every tiger have its own cave, or it's whatever cave it finds, it just makes its shelter?
They don't have one single cave. In the past, I've been asked in the morning when we are trying to follow puck marks or listen to alarm calls, well, why don't we go to the den? That is where it will come out from now. So tigers don't have the same lifestyles that we do. They don't have one home where they go every night or every day and sleep.
This mindset in people, I think, is a fragment of watching movies, Lion King and all, where the tiger will suddenly appear from a den.
कुछ
हाँ,
नहीं.
अभी कुछ एक उधर जा रहा है अलीझोड़ के तरफ.
सोलर पैनल से थोड़ा ऊपर. अब अलीजोड़ की तरफ. So tigers are territorial animals and they're solitary animals. So every tiger has his or her own individual territory.
But they don't have a
Female-
home cave as such.
No. Female territories usually tend to be smaller, male territories are larger, and a male tries to cover territories of 3 to 4 females in this territory, basically.
Does a male recognize every female that he or he's mated with?
They identify each other individually, for sure. If a male comes in an area, he knows if he's mated with that female or not. If he's mated, then he understands that these are his cubs. If he has not mated with a female and she has cubs, he realizes that these are not his cubs and he will kill them to bring the female back in heat so that she then mates with him. But circling back to the territory part, one of the things that decides how big or small a territory is hiding places, so caves, other resting places, crevices, etc.
Accessibility to water all year round, right?
Water, food, and resting places or hiding spots. These are the three main things for both males and females. For the males, the additional one more point that decides how big or small his territory is how many females he can cover in that area. Yeah.
So, क्योंकि हम पेंच में हैं तो पेंच आके कॉलर वाली या माता राम के बारे में ना बात करें ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, क्योंकि वो टाइग्रेस है जिसने ये जितने हम लोग अभी आज टाइगर्स देख रहे हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं उनकी देन है. और तो आप बता सकते हो कि पहले एक बड़ी मादा थी, उनको फिर कॉलर वाली हुई और वो पूरी स्टोरी. और इस स्पॉट पे आके, क्योंकि ये बुरादत नाला वो जगह है जहाँ कॉलर वाली आके लास्ट दिन जी थी और फिर वो मर गई, तो थोड़ा उसके बारे में बता सकते हैं.
सबसे पहले तो जैसे कॉलर वाली स्टार्टिंग में उसके साथ 4 बच्चे थे, यानी कि ये बच्ची थी तो बड़ी मादा के साथ रहते थे. तो इसके बाद जैसी बड़ी हुई तो उसमें बीच में तो स्पाइन द जंगल करके मूवी बनी.
हाँ.
इसके बाद इसको कॉलर लगाया गया, एक मेल को लगाया गया था और एक फीमेल को, यानी कि इसी को कॉलर वाली को. तो मेल का तो लगभग जो मेल बच्चा था उसका 4-5 दिन के अंदर में रेडियो कॉलर गिरा दिया था उसने. लेकिन इसका लगभग 4 से 5 साल के आसपास पट्टा रहा. बाकी उसका तो टाइम रहता है 6 महीने के आसपास जो चालू रहता है. फिर इसके बाद वो अपना एरिया बनाई, बड़ी हुई तो यहाँ से एरिया स्टार्ट हुआ कॉलर वाली का. यहाँ से आगे अपना शेर झोड़ी करके है, शेर झोड़ी से फिर आगे अलीकट्टा, पीछे अलीकट्टा तक के
ब्रेकफास्ट पॉइंट.
हाँ, वहाँ तक के स्टार्टिंग में तो बागिन नाला में भी दिखी थी हमको और उधर भी दिखी थी जुनेवानी तालाब, बीजावट्टा, यानी कि स्टार्टिंग में बहुत लंबा एरिया था. फिर धीरे धीरे उसका एरिया कम हुआ है. बाद में जब वो बच्चे देते गई कॉलर वाली, जब बच्चे हुए, उसके बच्चे होने के बाद उसके 29 बच्चे हुए थे टोटल, यानी कि 16-14 साल की उम्र तक के, 14-15 साल की उम्र तक के उसके 29 बच्चे हुए थे, जिसमें से 24 बच्चे जिंदा रहे उसके, बाकी डेथ हो गई थी. इसके बाद चलता फिर लास्ट में वो जब उसका लास्ट टाइम आया तो इस जगह पे आके ख़त्म हुई, यहाँ रही। उसको फिर फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट ने उसको खाने के लिए दिए थे, तो खाने के लिए जो बकरा का मांस है, मुर्गा वगैरह ये ला के दिए थे, तो वो खाई नहीं उसने। लेकिन लास्ट में उसने एक डियर को मारी थी, डियर को मारी और उसके पंजों के नीचे दबा के और ख़त्म हो गई यहाँ इस जगह पे। तो एक टाइप से बता के गई कि मैं अभी भी मार सकती थी डियर। ऐसा हुआ था ना सर, उसमें फोटो में भी देखा था मैंने। तो लास्ट टाइम में उसने एक डियर को मारी लेकिन खाई नहीं और उसकी डेथ हो गई।
So this is exactly when 4 deer in a herd start looking in 4 different directions. And the minute they start smelling it, they start stomping their feet. That's a quiet way of alerting the animal because they don't even want to give their own location by making sounds. But once they have visual confirmation is when they start giving out distress calls and start running in the opposite direction. Why this is relevant right now is because we're able to hear deer make alarm calls far end on that in that small reservoir, and they're all looking in one direction. And because they're giving out calls, and these are very frantic calls coming from multiple deer, that means there is definitely something. We don't know what it is. It could be a leopard, it could be a tiger, or it could also be a pack of wild dogs, the likes of which are quite low, but again not impossible.
इंसान यहाँ जीप से और एकदम वहाँ किल हो रहा है एकदम आपके सामने, लेकिन वो जीप में इंसानों को कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा है, चीता मार रहा है किसी को एकदम सामने में. हाउ इज दैट हैपनिंग? यहाँ तो हम लोग
like seeing a live kill.
literally, I mean, I've seen so many videos where the people are standing. This is from normal people, not just wildlife enthusiasts, but just random people who've gone once or twice with their kids to any of these parks in Kenya or Tanzania. And वहाँ चीता जाके किसी लेपर्ड जाके कोई एक एनिमल को मार रहा है, लायन किसी को मार रहा है.
ज़्यादातर चीता किल दिखते because cheetahs are diurnal, they actively hunt in the daytime. और हमारे पास leopards and tigers है which prefer more.
No, but how do they kill another animal right in front of a jeep and ignore all the humans that are in the jeep?
Again, they have grown accustomed to the vehicles. In fact, in Africa, wherever there are private reserves, they make sure that the animals are used to the vehicles and not afraid. Abhi wo in Kenya there's this private reserve where there's a black panther, Giza. So the reason she so calmly walks by the way, because the rangers and everyone there, the park officials, they go and they make sure that these animals get used to the jeeps before the tourists start seeing them on a regular basis.
मतलब लेकिन sorry to say, जब when to try to get them acclimatized and accustomed to jeeps, हो सकता there's also huge risk in that, right? Or they carry some kind of protection or weaponry कि अगर animal attack
In Africa, you can get a license to carry a gun.
Okay.
A rifle.
In fact, there is a specialization that we do big game tracking, and to get that license where you are a big game tracker, you have to prove your worth by killing a certain number of animals.
You've seen the collectible that we're making, right? And we spoke so much about dehumanizing animals, right? Not just treating them as characters from a story, but actually treating them as animals in the wild that should be admired for their wilderness, for their unpredictability, and for their frankly cutthroat attitudes towards each other and towards the other animals. In light of that, whatever the collectible that we are making is, of course, trying to celebrate craftsmanship first, but keeping the tiger as a symbol. So, what is your take on that, considering one could interpret that it's an attempt to humanize it?
I personally don't feel that it's an attempt to humanize it. You're making the tiger or putting the tiger out there as an icon, and making a species an icon is not wrong. I feel it can portray a lot of things, a lot of emotions, but it should remain at that. You should not interpret an icon as a human being and not confuse between the two things. Tiger as an icon and tiger as a wild animal should remain two separate things. You can celebrate them as both. Doesn't necessarily mean if you want to celebrate tiger as a wild animal, you cannot make it an icon. Tiger can still be celebrated for its strength, for its beauty, charisma, for its sort of role in Indian mythology, the history, and still you can see the tiger for what it actually is in a forest, and an animal that will survive the way it has been evolved, the way it uses its whatever special powers it has because of evolution, trying to etch out a living in the forest as a wild animal.
But I'm guessing what you're against is this attempt to fictionalize it and make it some kind of character in a movie or a show. जैसे वो कुछ shows आते थे जिसमें एक इंसान shape shifting animal बन रहा है. I'm guessing all of that is something you feel should be limited or.
We should always realize that these are fictional stories. It's not true. I mean, it's not reality. Junoon movie थी जिसमें राहुल रॉय transforms into a tiger. That is not real.
Yeah.
You should see it as a fictional story. Enjoy the story. Enjoy the movie. Jungle Book is such a nice example. It's such a popular story, but it doesn't mean that in the wild animals talk to each other like that. So enjoy it for what it is, a really nice piece of art or story, a nice story that somebody wrote. But don't say a tiger in the wild should behave like Sher Khan in Jungle Book, or some villager should transform and become a tiger because Rahul Roy did it in Junoon.
So this is the strongest tiger of Pench.
Dominant male. I think Pranad would be better to answer strongest.
I would say he currently controls maximum area in the tourism parts of the tiger reserve.
Oh yeah, it's submerged.
So it was a great journey, guys. Of course, I think we had a lot of fun and spotted 2 tigers in our recording, which I guess we'll show at the end. But we touched upon a lot of topics, and one of the things that we did touch upon throughout the journey, which I want to ask you, when we had a little more clarity because the camera got burnt, the camera couldn't be used in the heat after a point, and then the noise was too much. We had a lot of other jeeps coming in, so these were things that I wanted to capture on camera clearly. If you had one suggestion to improve wildlife tourism, what would that be? And not from tourists, but from the policy side of it.
From the policy side of it also, I feel infrastructure can be improved a lot. I think at one point when I mentioned about the toilets being very clean, but that was not always the case. And even today there are a lot of parks where the toilets are not clean, or the facilities at the gate are not very good. The ticket counter is not proper. So I think if you are providing a service, wildlife safari is a service provided by the forest department, it can be done in a very, very nice way. You could have more things. Some places have good canteens, some places don't have good canteens. A nice interpretation center to get the juices flowing in the minds. So all these things can be done, and I'm not saying they're not being done at various stages and various different success rates. These things are being done. Some places are really good with it, but can be implemented. Taking examples of where these things have been done properly, it can be implemented in many other places. And once I think these facilities are good, it even creates a sense of responsibility in the minds of tourists that you have come to a place which is very serious about what they're doing. So we should also be serious at the same time.
And what do you think we can do to get foreign tourists as well?
If I was to answer the same question, there are more things like I would like to add. Infrastructure is definitely something we need to work on, but one more thing that where I feel we're lacking is somewhere down the line, this is my theory, 2014 NTCA came out with a rule that 20% of parks will be open for tourism, 80% will be closed. Now this 20% in some cases like Pench is such a small area that all jeeps, like you realize in the case when we was looking at the second male tiger, there were at least 10-15 jeeps in the same area, right? I think it needs to be bigger. The jungle area that you can explore needs to be bigger and broader. And in that sense, you have now the opportunity and the option of adding more vehicles and making it tad bit more expensive. Yes, I agree, infrastructure needs to be developed, but somewhere down the line, feel like you need to take out the element of serving food and drinks over there. Drinks as in even non-alcoholic, obviously. Because then I feel like somewhere down the line, people start thinking of it in terms of a picnic. But it's not really a picnic. It should be like something that where you're going to learn something new, to learn more about animals, to learn about coexistence between humans and animals. Because this is the biggest problem that forests or national parks or tiger reserves in the country are fighting. The awkward and frequent confrontation between wild animals and humans. The only way to stop that, or those confrontations are going to happen because after a point you do want to coexist with these animals. But the problem is awareness, education, and knowledge about how to behave in front of an animal. So I think those are the places where we need to focus, and maybe from 20% grow it out to 30 or 40. Of course, keep a larger chunk still unexplored, untapped by humans, but you can still broaden this area.
5 minutes. So, and of course, the story of Jamtara, that's what we want to end it by. I think we are all sitting at Jamtara Tiger Reserve, and it's a very interesting story that you were telling me about the owner, his grandfather. So, bits and pieces from the history from both of you.
So Amit, the owner, his grandfather, Mr. Kailash Sankla, he was the first director of Project Tiger, which started in 1973. A little bit of history before that. So even after independence, hunting a tiger was legal. In fact, there were tour companies and people operating tours which would invite shikaris, hunters, to come and do a hunt over here, and then the trophy would be
The carcass
transported,
of the
the skin or the head or whatever they wanted would be transported back to their own country. Through most of the 1960s decade, Kailash Sankla went on a one-man mission to count the number of tigers that are remaining in the forests. And he came out with a shocking revelation that said we are losing tigers at an alarming rate. Very, very few tigers are now remaining. And a lot of people were not ready to accept this reality. But in 1969, the IUCN, which is International Union for Conservation of Nature, and they assign a certain category to each wild species, whether it is least concern, whether it is threatened, critically endangered, etc. They change the status of tiger from being of least concern to an endangered animal. That's when eyes opened. Kailash Sankla got the backing of the government back then. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister, and she made the changes in our constitution. First, in 1972, we adopted the Wildlife Protection Act, which made it illegal to hunt certain animals, including the tiger. And in 1973, the Project Tiger started, under which there were certain forests declared as tiger reserves. There were funds allocated to these forests to have patrolling efforts increased, give them jeeps or whatever they needed, make checkposts, have more forest guards to patrol the forest. And all these efforts then started showing their fruit eventually. But because Kailash Sankla was involved with this before Project Tiger started, he was made the first director of Tiger Reserve, Project Tiger. Then his son started two properties, Kanha Jungle Lodge and Bandhavgarh Jungle Lodge, Pradeep Sankla sir. These were the first eco lodges in the country, inviting tourists to come and enjoy wildlife, shoot tigers with cameras rather than with guns. That's where the seed of wildlife tourism was sort of sown. Unfortunately, Pradeep Sankla sir met with an untimely death. But his son now, Amit Sankla, carried the legacy forward. We manage those two lodges. He started Jamtara Wilderness Camp, his third property, and he also does a lot of wildlife tours. Again, markets Indian wildlife in many different parts of the world, invite tourists who come in, spend money to see the tigers, and this brings in money to the local economy. In a small village like Jamtara, a lot of people have jobs because there's a lodge here. There are people who want to go out for safari, so there are drivers, there are guides who are employed because of that. And this is not just with Jamtara, but true with all other tiger reserves as well. Wherever there's tourism, it does support the local economy in a big way.
And I think to add to that, like you mentioned guides and drivers, right? Through them also spreads a lot of awareness because they learn so much. They see it every day. They appreciate it every day. The things they tell us, I'm sure they go back home and tell their families too. And that's how they also learn that there has to be a world where we can coexist.
And as a regular frequent visitor, what do you think other resorts and properties that are building in wildlife sanctuaries or national parks, what can they learn from Jamtara?
Wow, very interesting question. So one thing that keeps bringing me back to Jamtara is that factor that even if I'm not going into the jungle, I feel like I am in the jungle. It's ultra luxurious, but at the same time, they've kept it in mind that nature is of paramount importance, right? It's an ecological eco lodge is what I'll call it, and what I say is that one thing that is very clear here is no matter what, you cannot have speakers, you cannot play music, you have to respect the wildlife and the rules of the forest, which is something that most lodges in the country are massively lacking. There are some lodges that have water parks. There are some lodges that have there are actually a few deer behind you. There are some. See, this is not something that will happen if you open a water park in a hotel, or if you have discos, or if you start having weddings. I won't just blame the hotels for that. I'll also blame the forest department to some extent because after all, you are giving them the permission to do it. If you allow people to do it, they are going to do it. And of course, nothing ever for me, I've seen the world, I've traveled the world, nothing comes close to the hospitality at Jamtara. For me, it's never coming to a hotel. For me, it's I'm going home. Even when we were coming back from the forest, I told him, let's take this route because this is the way I like to go back to the camp. I use the word camp, but in my mind, somewhere down the line, ghar chalte, ho gayi safari. So, it's not a factor I felt anywhere except here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for doing this. Been a real pleasure.
Pleasure.
And thank you, Akash. Thank you for patiently recording us. I think we've had goof ups, flight tickets, earphones.
All in a day's work.
But the good thing is that I'm happy I was able to contribute to something nice and something meaningful. And somewhere down the line, I feel my only hope is that even if we're able to educate two people or if we're able to make even someone fall in love with wildlife is all I want because I love it so much. I want the world to love it, appreciate it, respect it, take care of it, conserve it, protect it, and leave it as a legacy for your future generations.
And your honest opinion on our attempt through Culture Collect, building the tiger collectible that we are.
It's a very interesting initiative for sure. Because anytime an attempt is made, I feel to connect people with nature in India, it has my 100% support. That's something that is lacking, and we touched on this many times during the safari as well. And to do it in a way where you don't just have the wildlife aspect, but you said the traditional craftsmanship. That's a very nice way to inculcate two different aspects of India's heritage, bring them together and create an appreciation in the minds of people who probably don't know a lot about these factors or this part of India.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Alright, super.
Thank you so
Hopefully
much.
it was all that you were hoping
Better
for.
than everything. I mean, I don't know how I can think of